Oh, wow. We made it. Chapter 38, the conclusion of Jane Eyre. Wow. We've been reunited with Mr. Rochester. He loves her. She loves him. He's living in some dreary place. He's blind. He doesn't have a hand. He was praying one night and said, Jane, Jane, Jane. And he heard her voice answering her on a Monday night. And that's why they're together right now, because he called out to her and she heard it. Oh my God. Oh my God, there's so many spiders up there. Wow, this house, we just moved and there's so many bugs. I mean, spiders are good, right? And I won't suck them up the vacuum. Although, we did clean out the garage. It's got carpet in it. And there was a humongous spider. I did suck that one up though. We can never, ever, ever open up the shop back. Because there's going to be... It's just going to be all spider web. It's just one big, it's going to be one big gigantic spider web. Last chapter of Jane Eyre before we move on to Frankenstein, because it's October and it's spooky season. And this has been rather spooky. Oh my God. This has been such a beautiful book. I mean, I know we still have one more chapter, but it's literally like 5 pages, and the last chapter was like 25,000 pages, so it's gonna feel really short. And Frankenstein is like this big, so you know. Last chapter of Jane Eyre, chapter 38, conclusion. Reader, I married him. Reader, I married him. A quiet wedding we had, he and I. Then parson and clerk were alone present. We got back from church. When we got back from church, I went into the kitchen of the manor house, where Mary was cooking the dinner and John cleaning the knives, and I said, Mary, I have been married to Mr. Rochester this morning. The housekeeper and her husband were both of that descent, phlegmatic order of people, to whom one may at any time safely communicate a remarkable piece of news without incurring the danger of having one's ears pierced by some shrill ejaculation, and subsequently stunned by a torrent of wordy wonderment. Mary did look up, and she did stare at me, with the ladle with which she was basting a pair of chickens roasting at the fire, did for some 3 minutes hang suspended in the air, and for the same space of time John's knives also had rest from the polishing process. But Mary, bending over the roast, said only, Have you, miss? Well, for sure. A short time after she pursued, I seed you go out with the master, but I didn't know you had gone to church to be wed. And she basted away. John, when I turned to him, was grinning from ear to ear. I told Mary how it would be, he said. I knew what Mr. Edward... John was an old servant and had known his master when he was a cadet of the house. Therefore, he often gave him his Christian name. I knew what Mr. Edward would do. I was certain he would not wait long neither. And he's done right, for all I know. I wish you joy, miss. And he politely pulled his forelock. Thank you, John. Mr. Rochester told me to give you and Mary this. I put into his hand a £5 note. Without waiting to hear more, I left the kitchen. In passing the door of that sanctum some time after, I caught the words, Shall happen do better for him nor grand ladies. Shall happen do better for him nor ony grand ladies. And again, if she been one of the handsomest, she's not fail and very good-natured, and I seen she's fair beautiful. Anybody may see that. Sorry. I wrote to Morehouse and to Cambridge immediately to say what I had done, fully explaining also why I had thus acted. Diana and Mary approved the step unreservedly. Diana announced that she would just give me time to get over the honeymoon, and then she would come and see me. She had better not wait till then, Jane, said Mr. Rochester when I read the letter to him. If she does, she'll be too late, for our honeymoon will shine our life long. Its beams will only fade over your grave or mine. How St. John received the news, I don't know. He never answered the letter in which I communicated it, yet 6 months after he wrote to me, without, however, mentioning Mr. Rochester's name or alluding to my marriage. His letter was then calm and, though very serious, kind. He has maintained a regular, though not frequent, correspondence ever since. He hopes I am happy, and trusts I am not of those who live without God in the world, and only mind earthly things. I'm sure he is worried about her soul. You have not quite forgotten little Adele, have you, Rita? I had not. I soon asked and obtained leave of Mr. Rochester to go and see her at the school where he had placed her. Her frantic joy at beholding me again moved me much. She looked pale and thin. She said she was not happy. I found the rules of the establishment was too strict, its course of study too severe, for a child of her age. I took her home with me. I meant to become a governess once more, but I soon found this impracticable. My time and cares were now required by another. My husband needed them all. So I sought out a school conducted on a more indulgent system, and near enough to permit of my visiting her often and bringing her home sometimes. I took care she should never want for anything that could contribute to her comfort. She soon settled in her new abode, became very happy there, and made fair progress in her studies. As she grew up, a sound English education corrected in a great measure her French defects. And when she left school, I found in her a pleasing and obliging companion, docile, good-tempered, and well-principled. By her grateful attention to me and mine, she has long since well repaid any little kindness I ever had it in my power to offer her. My tale draws to its close. One word respecting my experience of married life, and one brief glance at the fortunes of those whose names have most frequently recurred in this narrative, and I have done. I have now been married 10 years. I know what it is to live entirely for and with what I love best on earth. I hold myself supremely blessed beyond what language can express, because I am my husband's life as fully as he is mine. No woman was ever nearer to her mate than I am, ever more absolutely bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh. I know no weariness of my Edward's society. He knows none of mine, any more than we each do of the pulsation of the heart that beats in our separate bosoms. Consequently, we are ever together. To be together is for us to be at once as free as in solitude, as gay as in company. We talk, I believe, all day long. To talk to each other is but a more animated and audible thinking. All my confidence is bestowed on him. All his confidence is devoted to me. We are precisely suited in character. Perfect concord is the result. Mr. Rochester continued blind the first 2 years of our union. Perhaps it was that circumstance that drew us to so very near, that knit us so very close. For I was then his vision, as I am still his right hand. Literally, I was what he often called the apple of his eye. He saw nature, he saw books through me. And never did I weary of gazing for his behalf, and of putting into words the effect of the field, tree, town, river, sunbeam, cloud, of the landscape before us, of the weather round us, and impressing by sound on his ear what light could no longer stamp on his eye. Never did I weary of reading to him, never did I weary of conducting him where he wished to go, of doing for him what he wished to be done. And there was a pleasure in my services, most full, most exquisite, even though sad, because he claimed these services without painful shame or damping humiliation. He loved me so truly that he knew no reluctance of profiting by my attendance. He felt I loved him so fondly that to yield that attendance was to indulge my sweetest wishes. One morning at the end of 2 years, as I was writing a letter to his dictation, he came and bent over me and said, "Jane, you have a glittering ornament round your neck." I had a gold watch chain. I answered, "Yes." "And have you a pale blue dress on?" I had. He informed me then that for some time he had fancied the obscurity clouded one eye was becoming less dense, and that now he was sure of it. He and I went up to London. He had the advice of an eminent oculist, and he eventually recovered the sight of that one eye. He cannot now see very distinctly. He cannot read or write much, but he can find his way without being led by the hand. The sky is no longer a blank to him, the earth no longer a void. When his firstborn was put into his arms, he could see that the boy had inherited his own eyes, as they once were, large, brilliant, and black. They had a kid together. They had a little baby boy. On that occasion, he again, with a full heart, acknowledged that God had tempered judgment with mercy. My Edward and I, then, are happy, and the more so because those we most love are happy likewise. Diana and Mary Rivers are both married. Alternately, once every year they come to see us, and we go to see them. Diana's husband is a captain in the Navy, a gallant officer and a good man. Mary's is a clergyman, a college friend of her brother's, and from his attainments and principles, worthy of the connection. Both Captain Fitzjames and Mr. Wharton love their wives and are loved by them. As to St. John Rivers, he left England. He went to India. He entered on the path as he marked for himself. He pursues it still. A more resolute, indefatigable pioneer never wrought amidst rocks and dangers. Firm, faithful, and devoted, full of energy and zeal and truth, he labors for his race. He clears their painful way to improvement. He hews down like a giant the prejudices of creed and caste that encumber it. He may be stern, he may be exacting, he may be ambitious yet, but his is the sternness of the warrior Greatheart, who guards his pilgrim convoy from the onslaught of the Apollyon. His is the exaction of the apostle who speaks but for Christ, when he says, "Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." His is the ambition of the high master spirit, which aims to fill a place in the first rank of those who are redeemed from the earth, who stand without fault before the throne of God, who share the last mighty victories of the Lamb, who are called and chosen and faithful. St. John is, surprise, unmarried. He will never marry now. He never will marry now. Himself has hitherto sufficed to the toil, and the toil draws near its close. His glorious sun hastens to its setting. The last letter I received from him drew from my eyes human tears, and yet filled my heart with divine joy. He anticipated his sure reward, his incorruptible crown. I know that a stranger's hand will write to me next, to say that the good and faithful servant has been called at length into the joy of his Lord. And why weep for this? No fear of death will darken St. John's last hour. His mind will be unclouded, his heart will be undaunted, his hope will be sure, his faith steadfast. His own words are pledged of this. My master, he says, has forewarned me. Daily he announces more distinctly, surely I will come quickly. Surely I come quickly, and hourly I more eagerly respond, Amen. Even so come, Lord Jesus. Wow, we end with St. John, who we met in the most last chapters of the book. We end with that. Wow. There can be no question that Jane Eyre is a very clever book. Indeed, it is a book of decided power. The thoughts are true, sound, and original, and the style, though rude and uncultivated here and there, is resolute, straightforward, and to the purpose. There are faults which we may advert to presently, but there are also many beauties, and the object and moral of the work is excellent. Without being professedly didactic, the writer's intentions, amongst other things, seems to be to show how intellect and unswerving integrity may win their way, although oppressed by that predominating influence in society which is a mere consequence of accidents of birth or fortune. There are, it is true, in this autobiography, which, though relating to a woman, we do not believe to have been written by a woman, struggles and throes and misgivings, such as must necessarily occur in a contest where the advantages are all on one side. But in the end, the honesty, kindness of heart, and perseverance of the heroine are seen triumphant over every obstacle. We confess that we like an author who throws himself into the front of the battle as the champion of the weaker party. And when this is followed up by bold and skillful soldiership, we are compelled to yield him our respect. The Examiner. They just assumed this was... Wow. All these things at the end are like all these critiques by all these newspapers. That's cool. The Scotsman. A striking and powerful novel. It has peculiar features which separate it distinctly from the ordinary run of 3-volume fictions, and indicates that it is the production of a mind of considerable originality and strength. Wow. I'm so excited to like finally read about Charlotte and Jane Eyre without having like spoilers, you know? Wow. Really beautiful. Super strange ending though. Like it would be so hard to know how to end a book like this, but it's so interesting to end with like St. John's Prayer. I'm going to go watch the movie. I'm going to go listen to some Vanessa Zoltan talk about Jane Eyre because she loves her so much. And join me next time for season 8 as we read a tiny little book. A teeny tiny itty bitty little book called Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Somebody I also know nothing about, a female writer. And my brother just got me this jigsaw puzzle. And there's a new movie coming out. So there's a new Frankenstein movie and a new Dracula movie, which is really interesting to me. So obviously we're going to watch both. But we're going to read next time Frankenstein. I don't have internet at my house right now, so my videos are going to be coming out just like whenever I can get to somewhere that has good internet, until I get somewhat decent internet here. So sorry for all the time, but I'm just going to do one big dump. I'm going to take one big dump at a Barnes & Noble like I normally do. Sorry. Join me next season, season 8, where we read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Who's Mary Shelley? We're going to find out. Happy reading, everybody. What a joy. This truly, I mean, again, after reading Jane Austen and then switching to this, it's so interesting how different everything is. Happy reading, and till next time, ta-da!